I did that every day. And I was in Toronto one evening, and I had not found what I needed. And my friends, it got to be midnight, my friends gave up on me. You know, Toronto's a really clean city. I found coins, but I needed a metal object with a hole in it. I didn't know why I needed that, but that was my criteria. No pop-tops. And I finally found what I was looking for, and I didn't get mugged. And so at the end of 365 days, I had 365 beautiful metal objects, and I didn't know exactly what to do with it. But by that time, I had moved to New York, and I have to do this with two hands. I was living very close to where all the mill ends in the world gather. It's a great place to live if you're working with fabrics. But I bought some sort of gray, purple silk moire, and I made a jacket out of it. I don't know if you can see it. And it was all made with pleats. And the pleats were on the diagonal. And I couldn't do away with any of my experiences, but what I could do is put the most beautiful ones on the outside of the pleat, and the ones that weren't so beautiful could go underneath. And that way, it was heavy, but I couldn't do away with any of my experiences. And I think that kinetic metaphor is a good explanation of my art making, of my philosophy of art making. And I made it, and I arranged it. It's what I do is based on my experiences. That's as a woman from a certain place. And I arranged it so that I could share it with you, and could make it could make contact with other people, I think. Now, I don't make art about art. I make art about life. And of course, you can tell that God is in the details for me. And well, no matter how it is designed, and I am interested in formal design, that is for sure, but it is about human relationships. That's what my art is about. And of course, I'm aware that memory doesn't automatically become art. My stories are dependent on memory. They're dependent on interviews. They're dependent on research. They're dependent on very careful consideration of object of material culture. And they're mostly true.
Mostly, but not entirely. Let's turn the lights up, and we have such a wonderful audience with us tonight. So who would like to ask Marilyn a question? Just raise your hand and we'll pass the microphone your way since we're recording it. So just wait for the mic, please. We're recording it. We want to record your voice. One moment. It's coming. Thank you.
I would like to know how you make lead functional, how you can cut it and shape it. I thought lead was a metal that was hard to work with.
Well, I guess it is, but when I get it, it's thin lead. It's just a sheet, and I cut it. I have to make my own pattern because, of course, it's so much thicker than fabric. And I cut the pattern, and I solder it together. Now, as I said, I was never very graceful with fabric, but I can cut patterns, and I can make a graceful object out of lead. Actually, I find myself always needing to learn how to do something new. I never had carved wood before I carved those 5-foot curtains. But the thing is, I have to do it as if I know how to do it. I can't do it as if I'm just learning. But I do. It's the concept that determines what kind of material I use. And with the lead blouses, I was thinking of protection. And of course, at that time, I think we were thinking a lot about protection from atomic fallout in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then I learned that lead itself was dangerous. And I said, oh, there's no protection.
Another question from the audience? Yes, up here in the front. The mic will be passed.
Thank you. You are just delightful.
Oh, thanks.
But did you have to take a course on how to solder?
I did. Isaac Maxwell took me over to where his men were making those lamps, and they soldered them, and so I went over there one time. Yeah. And I really don't mind asking for help.
Yes, the question, the mic is coming.
Obviously, moving to New York was a gutsy thing to do. As I assume, as a single woman, what did you take away from your experience in New York? What was the greatest thing that you felt that you got from that?
Well, I know I was talking to somebody about this today. I found out that the women didn't have to go into the kitchen and talk about children while the men went in the living room and talked about politics. And that's not the way it is in New York. I mean, it's not that much that way here anymore, I think, but I became an equal when I went to New York.
Do you have another question somewhere? Yes, here in the middle. Oh, the microphone can be passed down. Okay.
Hi, I was just wondering when you said you went to the Mecca in New York,
Yes.
was that artist or a women's movement?
It was as an artist.
Okay, my
Oh, it's-
sister's doing
yeah,
that right now.
yeah.
She's painting in
It-
New York finally.
I had a one-person show in a retrospective in the museum in Corpus Christi, and one of my friends is here, and another friend who said, oh, to everybody after I'd been talking, she said, do you know that Marilyn was the most likely to succeed in high school? And I said, oh, thank you. I was modest about it. But to tell you the truth, I was thinking that I would succeed at the American Museum, the Whitney Museum, or the Museum of Modern Art, not the Museum of
You and a
Corpus
lot of
Christi.
other artists who
Yeah.
moved to New York. One last question. Yes, all the way in the back.
I think most artists don't want to talk about their next project, but talk about it.
Well, I'm doing quite a few things with found objects now.
You just had a show in Houston.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we had to stop somewhere, so we
Right,
stopped with
right.
the collection of measuring devices. And
But you're moving more in that direction currently, with more works made from things you've been collecting.
yes.
Okay, well, Marilyn, it's been such a delight having
Well, thank you.
here
I've
tonight in the
enjoyed it.
hot seat.